Chosen one, stop scrolling for just one moment and listen closely. You did not find this message by accident today. The algorithm did not bring you here to this exact place. Heaven did. Something you did very recently has shifted the atmosphere around your life. You thought nobody saw it. But that tiny act of faith recalibrated the entire spiritual realm and forced heaven to move on your behalf. I know exactly how exhausted your spirit feels right now. You feel completely drained. You wake up at 3 in the morning with a heavy weight sitting squarely on your chest. You stare at the dark ceiling, wondering if anyone up there is even listening anymore. The waiting has stretched on for so long that your hope is starting to wear dangerously thin. You walk through your own home feeling like a stranger. Conversations seem to stop the moment you enter the room. People look at you, but they do not really see you. You give so much of your energy to everyone else. You carry their heavy burdens without complaining, even when your own shoulders ache from the load. There is nobody around to help you carry it. You are not imagining this heavy atmosphere. You are not going crazy, and you are certainly not too sensitive. That deep ache in your soul is completely real. But I need you to hear this truth right now. Your long season of waiting was never a punishment, and you have not been forgotten by the divine forces that watch over your path. Heaven has been watching your quiet endurance this entire time. Just a few hours ago, a divine decision was made concerning your future. The holding pattern you have been stuck in was finally broken. Heaven just approved your next major blessing. The invisible walls that kept you trapped are crumbling down right now, because the resistance you feel is just the enemy panicking as his time runs out. Think about those moments when you cried alone in your car. Think about the times you wiped your tears before stepping out to face the world. You smiled and told everyone you were completely fine, playing the role of the strong one perfectly, while inside you were quietly begging for a single sign. You just wanted to know your prayers were not vanishing into thin air. Every single one of those silent tears was recorded. Every moment you chose to keep believing when you had every logical reason to quit was permanently documented in the spiritual records. You survived what should have completely broken you. You stood tall when the winds of opposition tried to sweep you away. And that resilience is exactly why this new blessing has your name on it. In the next few minutes, I am going to reveal something crucial. I will show you the exact nature of the blessing that was just released into your life. It is not what you might expect, and it is actually much bigger than the limited picture you have been holding in your tired mind. What is coming will replace everything that was unfairly taken from you. I will also expose the hidden reason why you had to wait this long. There is a secret truth about your isolation that most people will never understand. Once you see the real purpose behind the delay, your entire perspective will shift. You will finally realize that the universe was preparing a massive space for you. It was never a rejection at all. And you must stay with me until the very end of this message. Do not leave before the final verdict is delivered. At the end, I will give you a specific declaration to make. It is a powerful spoken seal that will legally bind this blessing to your life. If you walk away now, you risk leaving your breakthrough sitting unclaimed. The enemy wants nothing more than for you to scroll away right now. He wants you to dismiss this as just another random video. He is absolutely terrified of what happens when you finally wake up to your true identity. Do not give him that satisfaction. Anchor your spirit to my voice. Take a deep breath and let the truth wash over your tired soul. Let us look deeper into what you have been experiencing lately. You watch other people receive their blessings. They get the promotions and find the relationships, and they seem to glide through life without any friction at all. And you sit there clapping for them while your own hands feel completely empty. You are genuinely happy for their success. But a quiet voice whispers inside your head, asking why your turn never seems to arrive, even after all your patience. You have always been the reliable one. You are the person everyone calls when their world falls apart. You drop everything to help them fix their broken pieces, offering wise advice and a shoulder to cry on. But when your own world shakes, The room gets quiet. You look around for support and find empty chairs. It feels like a massive betrayal, and you wonder if your kindness was a mistake. The hardest part is the absolute silence. You pray until you have no words left. You ask for a simple sign to keep you going, but the heavens seem completely shut to your desperate pleas. Your requests just bounce back at you. You start to analyze every mistake you ever made. You convince yourself that you ruined the divine plan, thinking heaven is actively punishing you for a past failure. Listen to me very carefully right now. I need to entirely reframe your current reality. That heavy silence you have been agonizing over is not a punishment, and it was never a sign of divine abandonment. You have completely misunderstood what heaven is doing behind the scenes. The delay you are experiencing is not a denial of your request. It is a massive act of divine protection that you cannot see yet. God did not remove the crowd to abandon you. He removed those people so he could finally speak to you without their constant and noisy interference distracting your spirit. You see an empty room and call it painful isolation, but heaven sees a cleared stage and calls it sacred preparation. The people who walked away were never meant to carry the heavy weight of your next chapter. They would have completely crumbled under the intense pressure of your new spiritual calling. Think about the physical laws of building something new. You can build a fragile wooden shed in just a few short days, but laying the deep foundation for a towering skyscraper takes months of invisible work underground where nobody can see the progress. You are not meant to be a temporary shed. You are designed to hold something permanent and heavy. That massive destiny requires a much deeper excavation of your fragile human soul. You were not rejected by those closed doors. You were divinely redirected. Every opportunity that slipped through your fingers was actually a trap cleverly disguised as a blessing. If heaven had answered your prayers when you wanted, you would have settled for mere crumbs. You would have tied yourself to people and places that were far beneath your true frequency. Heaven loved you too much to allow that. You were not ready to hold the blessing before today. If you received it prematurely, it would have crushed your spirit completely. The prolonged waiting season was specifically designed to stretch your internal capacity, forcing your muscles of faith to be torn down so they could grow back infinitely stronger. You had to learn how to stand alone. You needed to ensure you would never compromise your core values for cheap company again. That agonizing process of spiritual stretching is complete. The deep foundation has been fully laid in the dark. The concrete has cured, and the structural integrity of your soul is now absolutely flawless. You are no longer the fragile person who started this journey years ago. You have been forged in the hottest fire available, and now the space around you is entirely clear to receive what was approved. Your isolation is not evidence of your disqualification. It is the undeniable proof of your divine selection. You are exactly where you are supposed to be right now. The universe paused your life to build a fortress around your destiny. And once you understand the massive scale of what is coming, you will fall to your knees and thank heaven for every closed door. Let that truth settle deep into your spirit. But here is where the narrative of your journey delves far deeper than most are willing to perceive. You have to understand how spiritual orchestration actually works. It is never a simple flick of a switch. When heaven approves a massive blessing for your life, it does not just drop it onto your current messy reality. It has to rearrange the entire board. Look at the ancient records of those who carried heavy spiritual mantles. Think about the story of Joseph. He was given a massive promise in a vivid dream when he was just a young boy, but he did not step into that promise the very next day. He was thrown into a pit and he was sold away to strangers. He spent years locked in a dark and lonely prison. He probably stared at those cold stone walls and wondered where he went wrong. He analyzed his past mistakes. He felt the exact same heavy weight sitting on his chest that you feel tonight. But his prison was not a punishment for his pride. It was a divine positioning. Heaven needed time to move a king into place, and the severe famine had to align perfectly with his eventual freedom. If Joseph had been rescued prematurely, he would have just gone back to tending sheep. He would have missed the royal palace entirely. He would have completely forfeited his massive destiny because he was impatient for comfort. The universe was using his painful delay to prepare the exact throne he was meant to sit on. Your story is following this exact same ancient blueprint. The blessing heaven just approved for you requires massive logistical shifts. People you have never even met are being repositioned right now to cross your path. Opportunities are being quietly unlocked in rooms you have not yet entered. The delay was necessary because the physical world is much slower than the spiritual decree. The pieces take time to move into their proper places. You are not dealing with a tiny upgrade. You are dealing with a generational shift. And a shift of that magnitude requires a completely cleared environment to take root safely. The people who abandoned you were removed to protect this fragile new season. The closed doors were locked by divine hands to keep you from walking into a trap disguised as a shortcut. Your pain was never a punishment for some imaginary failure. It was the deepest form of spiritual consecration. You were placed in the hot crucible because your specific assignment cannot be handled by someone who breaks under pressure. The enemy wants you to believe you are entirely disqualified, but your intense warfare is actually the absolute proof of your immense spiritual value. The enemy does not waste premium attacks on people without premium assignments. He only attacks the ones who carry the frequency capable of destroying his dark kingdom. The sheer intensity of your struggle proves how terrified he is of your bright future. He knows that once you realize the waiting is over, his control over your tired mind is finished forever. And once that profound truth clicks into place, everything shifts. You stop begging for a tiny breakthrough and start preparing for its massive physical arrival. You stop questioning your own worth. You finally realize that heaven was fiercely protecting you the entire time you felt abandoned. The silence you hated was actually the beautiful sound of divine construction happening in your favor. You did not just survive what should have broken you, it completely developed you. It built a spiritual radar inside you that cannot be fooled by cheap imitations anymore. You are finally ready to handle the heavy weight of the blessing that was just authorized. Take a deep breath and let this realization wash away the bitter residue of your waiting season. You are finally ready to receive what is coming. The old version of you could not hold this massive weight. You would have dropped it out of fear. But you are not the same person who walked into that painful fire, because the intense heat burned away every single trace of your insecurity. You stepped out of the flames with a completely new spiritual spine. Your incredible sensitivity is not a wound anymore. It is a highly calibrated weapon. People used to tell you that you felt things too deeply. They made you believe your huge heart was a terrible burden. But that deep empathy is exactly what heaven uses to navigate the spiritual realm, and your ability to feel is the exact radar required to locate your new blessing. Look at how your boundaries have changed recently. You no longer entertain connections that drain your precious energy. You used to bend over backward just to keep toxic people comfortable in your space. But something snapped inside you during that long isolation, and you finally realized the immense value of your own peace. You slammed the door shut on disrespect forever. That massive shift in your boundaries was the final test. Heaven was waiting to see if you would protect your sacred energy. You had to prove you would not hand your new blessing over to emotional vampires, and you passed that brutal test with absolute flying colors, because you watched them walk away and chose to embrace the lonely truth instead of begging them to stay. You have elevated your internal frequency to an entirely new level. The universe operates strictly on the laws of frequency and resonance. You cannot attract a high-level blessing while operating in a low state of fear. By protecting your peace, you raised your spiritual vibration, and you became a pure magnet for the exact miracle heaven just released into the atmosphere. The waiting season is officially over because the vessel is finally prepared. You have the emotional maturity to handle massive abundance without losing your humble spirit. You have the spiritual strength to carry heavy influence without letting pride poison your heart. Heaven trusts you implicitly, and nobody can ever take that divine authority away from you. You are standing on the very edge of your promised land right now. You can practically feel the fresh wind blowing from your rapidly approaching future. The heavy chains of your past are lying broken on the floor behind you. You do not owe your painful history anything anymore, but you owe your absolute best to the brilliant destiny that is calling your name so loudly today. This is a moment of profound spiritual activation. Every tear you cried watered the soil of your current strength. Every night you spent battling anxiety built the fierce warrior spirit you carry today. You are a completely integrated warrior who carries the scars of a survivor and the pure heart of a chosen child. Nothing can stop what is rushing toward you right now. But before you can step fully into this new blessing, you must pause. Coming up in just a moment, I am going to reveal a critical secret. I will expose the final, invisible thread that is still trying to hold you back. But first, this profound truth of your readiness must land deep in your spirit, settling into your mind like heavy and immovable bedrock that no storm can shake. Once that truth clicks into place, you are ready for the next layer. There is a deeper root operating underneath your conscious awareness. If you do not clearly see this hidden mechanism, it will quietly sabotage every new season you enter. It is the exact part most people completely miss when their blessing finally arrives, and I will expose it for you very shortly so you can be totally free. Here is that deeper root I promised to expose. You thought the sudden silence in your life was a sign of personal failure. You watched people walk away and assumed you did something terribly wrong, but those people were never rejecting you at all. They were simply sensing a powerful new frequency they could not comprehend. They felt your internal shift. They could not match your new vibration, and they naturally fell away to make room. That sudden drop in communication was not a social exile. It was a divine clearance. Imagine delivering new furniture into a room packed with useless junk. You cannot shove the massive new blessing into a crowded space. You have to remove the old debris first, and heaven had to completely clear your spiritual room before the new delivery could safely arrive. The quietness you hated was simply the sound of a broom sweeping your life clean. You felt the emptiness and called it terrible isolation. But heaven looked at that exact same space and called it crucial capacity. Your blessing requires massive room to operate effectively. It needs oxygen to breathe and space to expand. You could not hold this assignment while clinging tightly to your outdated connections because your old life was far too small for your new destiny. Heaven chose your destiny over your temporary comfort. Your familiar connections were firmly anchored to the old version of you. They loved the wounded version who always needed their validation. They were comfortable with the broken you who never rocked the boat. But the moment you started to heal, you became a massive threat to their stagnant reality. Your rapid healing forced them to look at their own refusal to grow, and your bright light exposed the dusty corners of their unhealed trauma. They did not leave because you were broken. They left because you were finally becoming whole. And heaven allowed that painful separation because those old connections would have drained your new blessing completely dry. They would have constantly demanded you shrink back down to make them feel secure again. You cannot carry a royal mantle while apologizing for the heavy fabric, so heaven blocked their access to your precious energy. The absolute silence was the ultimate form of divine protection. Look at the wide open space surrounding you right now. Look at the peaceful silence in your home that used to cause you intense anxiety. That silence is completely pregnant with pure potential. It is not a terrifying void waiting to swallow you whole. It is a fully prepared runway waiting for your massive blessing to land safely, and you are standing squarely in the middle of this cleared zone. Everything is perfectly still because the wind is gathering strength. You do not need to fill this quiet space with mindless noise anymore. You do not need to chase after the people who decided to walk away. Let them go. Let the heavy doors swing completely shut behind them without looking back. Your specific assignment does not require their approval, and your profound breakthrough does not need their permission to activate in your life today. You are fully authorized to move forward absolutely alone. This is the profound beauty of total divine clearance. It strips you down so you can be completely rebuilt on a truly unshakable foundation. But once you understand this empty space, you must learn how the actual transformation takes place. Coming up in just a moment, I will show you the exact mechanism of your internal change. But first, you must let this truth about the silence settle into your bones, because your mind needs to rest in this new reality. There is a physical process you have been going through that mirrors this spiritual shift perfectly. You have been feeling tired, and your body aches in strange ways. You probably thought you were just exhausted from the daily grind, but the physical toll is intimately connected to what heaven is building inside you. I will explain exactly why your body feels this heavy weight next, and the answer will shift your perspective on your draining physical energy. Here is the exact reason your body feels so incredibly heavy lately. You are carrying the intense physical toll of a massive spiritual upgrade, because your physical vessel is frantically trying to catch up with your new frequency. It takes an enormous amount of energy to rewire your entire nervous system. You are not breaking down, you are simply expanding. Think about what happens inside a tightly spun cocoon. The caterpillar does not just casually grow a pair of wings. It completely dissolves into a messy liquid, and it must endure total darkness before it can be rebuilt into something capable of flight. You have been in that exact same dark and terrifying state of total dissolution. The heavy pressure on your chest was the tight wall of your cocoon pushing back. You thought you were losing your mind during those long nights, and you felt your old identity melting away while it terrified you completely. But you were never dying in that dark space. You were miraculously reforming. The exhaustion you feel is the deep cellular fatigue of a massive transformation. It is the beautiful cost of your complete metamorphosis. Let us stack another truth on top of that realization. Look at the powerful eagle when it reaches the middle of its long life. It flies up to a solitary mountain peak, and it begins to aggressively pluck out its own old feathers because the old ones are too heavy. It breaks its own dull beak against the hard rocks. You look at that painful process and see terrible destruction, but the eagle knows it must molt to survive. You have been sitting on your own isolated mountain peak lately. You watched your old comforts being stripped away one by one. People told you that you were just aging or becoming far too bitter. But they were completely wrong about your silent struggle, because heaven was quietly working behind the scenes to prepare your next chapter. You were not aging, you were molting. Heaven removed those heavy old feathers so you could fly again. Now imagine the intense heat of a master silversmith operating a roaring forge. He places the raw silver directly into the hottest part of the blazing fire. He watches it melt down carefully, and he waits until all the dark impurities float to the surface so they can be skimmed away forever. The silversmith never leaves the fire unattended. He knows exactly when the intense purification process is finally complete. He pulls the precious silver out at the exact moment he can clearly see his own reflection shining brightly in the smooth metal. You have been sitting inside that blazing crucible for years. The intense heat of your trials brought every single hidden insecurity to the surface, but the Master never took his eyes off you during the fire. He was waiting to see his divine reflection shining in your healed spirit. The cocoon gave you new wings to fly higher than ever before. The painful molting process gave you the fresh strength to ride the massive upcoming storms. And the blazing hot crucible purified your heart to hold pure abundance. These are not three different stories, but they are the exact same spiritual process happening inside your tired physical body right now. You are finally ready to emerge from the darkness. You are a completely remade vessel. You are a brand new creature operating on a vastly superior frequency. Your tired body is finally finishing its intense structural upgrade today. But how does this spiritual shift actually manifest in your normal daily life? You need to see exactly how heaven uses ordinary events to confirm this profound transformation, and you must understand the practical signs happening around you. Coming up in just a moment, I will show you the physical evidence. I will reveal exactly why certain ordinary situations in your life collapsed recently. But first, you must let this truth settle deeply into your mind, because your physical body needs absolute permission to finally rest today. You must finally stop punishing yourself for needing so much rest. Your deep exhaustion is absolutely holy. Let us look at your actual daily life to see this clearly. Think about that specific relationship that ended so abruptly last year. You thought everything was going perfectly fine. You invested your entire heart into building a future with that person, but they walked away without giving you a proper explanation, and it left you completely shattered on the floor. You begged heaven to fix the broken pieces. Heaven ignored your desperate prayers because answering them would have ruined you. That person was completely incapable of handling your incoming spiritual elevation. They were a heavy anchor tied directly to your ankles, and they would have dragged your new blessing straight to the bottom of the ocean. Heaven broke your heart temporarily to save your entire destiny permanently. The breakup was a rescue mission. Now think about that specific job or opportunity that slipped through your fingers. You worked incredibly hard to secure that position. You stayed up late preparing your plans, and you followed every single rule perfectly. But the door slammed shut right in your face at the very last second. You felt a deep sense of total failure. You wondered why your massive effort was completely ignored. That closed door was actually a massive shield of divine protection. The position you desperately wanted was a beautiful cage disguised as a brilliant opportunity. If you had walked into that room, you would have been stuck there for years. You would have settled for a tiny paycheck of the soul while your massive spiritual assignment sat completely untouched. Heaven refused to let you settle for crumbs. Look at the social circles that recently faded away from your life. You used to spend hours listening to their endless drama. You poured your golden energy into their bottomless cups without ever getting anything back. But suddenly they stopped calling you completely, and the silence made you feel incredibly lonely on the weekends. You thought you were totally unlovable because nobody reached out to check on you. Those superficial connections had to be severed by a divine blade. They were feeding on your bright light while contributing absolutely nothing to your spiritual growth. Heaven caused that sudden disconnection because your new frequency requires equal energetic exchange. You cannot carry your massive new blessing while carrying the dead weight of shallow relationships. Their sudden departure was your ultimate liberation. Every single rejection you faced was actually a divine redirection. What you considered a painful loss was just heaven clearing the runway for your massive arrival. The universe was aggressively removing the wrong people so the right ones could finally find you. You were never falling behind in life. You were being strategically hidden until the perfect moment for your grand reveal arrived. You can look back at your empty hands and finally smile today. You realize those hands are only empty so they can hold something infinitely better. But understanding this outward clearing process is only half of the journey. Coming up in just a moment, I will reveal the deep internal law that governs your new reality. But first, you must let this peace wash over your memories. Your past losses do not sting anymore because you see their true purpose. The old job and the old relationship were just temporary training grounds. They taught you what you absolutely refused to tolerate moving forward. And now heaven is about to hand you the keys to your permanent assignment. But there is a specific spiritual law you must understand before you can unlock that door. You have spent your entire life waiting for someone else to give you permission. You waited for the right teacher to validate your deep calling, and you waited for a perfect situation to finally announce that you were ready. But heaven does not operate on human permission slips. The universe does not wait for a committee to vote on your divine assignment. You hold the keys. There is a profound spiritual law you must completely understand right now. Your ultimate breakthrough does not need anyone to approve it. It activates the exact moment you stop asking for it and take your rightful place. You are not a beggar standing outside the gates of your own destiny. You are the rightful owner of the entire estate, and the heavy iron gates will automatically open the very moment you decide to step forward. You thought you were waiting for heaven to finally move on your behalf. But heaven has been quietly waiting for you to realize your own authority. The divine forces are fully aligned behind you, but they cannot act until you speak the word. Your voice carries a unique frequency that commands the atmosphere to shift. Nothing happens while you stay silent in the corner. This is why the enemy worked so hard to silence your voice. He constantly made you doubt your own brilliant intuition. He tricked you into seeking endless advice from people who do not carry a fraction of your spiritual weight, because he knew your independent thought is incredibly dangerous. Once you realize your internal command, his manipulative games are permanently finished. Your spoken decree changes reality immediately. You must completely drop the identity of the wounded survivor today. You did survive terrible things in your past, but wearing survival as your primary identity keeps you in a defensive posture forever. You are not just surviving the storm anymore. You are the one who speaks to the fierce wind and tells it to completely stop, because the storm must bow to your new frequency. Every room you walk into is immediately altered by your quiet presence. You do not need to announce yourself loudly to the crowd. The spiritual realm recognizes your rank the second your foot touches the floor. Angels stand at absolute attention when you decide to stop playing small, because you carry the royal seal of heaven inside your spirit. Claim it right now. This level of raw power is beautiful, but it can feel incredibly intimidating. It is easy to point fingers at the external forces that held you back, and it feels safe to blame the toxic relationships for your long delay. But there is a much deeper truth we have to face right now. The final obstacle of this level is not completely outside of you. Your breakthrough does not need a formal invitation to arrive. It simply requires you to stop shrinking your massive spirit to fit into small rooms. You have to evict the spirit of fear from your mind completely. The universe responds to your firm decisions, not your endless wishing. When you plant your feet and declare your worth, everything around you must align. Coming up in just a moment, I am going to reveal the very last thing standing in your way. It is a hidden block that lives deep inside your own mind, but first you must let the reality of your authority settle into your bones. You have to accept your crown before you can win this final internal battle. Stay with me, because this next revelation changes everything. You are not a victim of the universe anymore. You are a conscious co-creator with the divine forces of heaven. Every step you take forward today is backed by the full weight of eternity. Do not let anyone convince you that you are just ordinary. You were born with a very specific assignment that nobody else can fulfill, and the world desperately needs your bright light today. You have stepped into a completely new spiritual arena today. The divine authority you carry right now is undeniable. But this massive elevation brings a completely different kind of challenge, because every new level of blessing requires a deeper level of internal purity. It is no longer about fighting external enemies. You have already won that exhausting battle. The universe has neutralized those toxic external forces. The people who tried to dim your light are watching you shine from a long distance. They simply cannot touch your spirit anymore. Your energy field is sealed with powerful divine protection. But because the enemy cannot attack you directly from the outside, his entire strategy must change if he wants to stop your momentum. He knows that brutal frontal assaults will not work on a forged warrior. You are far too spiritually mature to fall for the same external traps. So the final battle line is not drawn in your difficult circumstances. It is drawn quietly inside the silent corridors of your own mind. And this is where your journey gets incredibly delicate, because the greatest obstacle is often hiding within your own familiar thoughts. Ascending to your highest timeline requires total inward honesty. You cannot carry hidden emotional illusions into the sacred throne room of your destiny. The royal mantle you are about to wear requires a solid foundation of absolute truth. We must face one specific truth about your waiting season right now. Ignoring this subtle reality is exactly why so many chosen ones stay stuck forever. This is the exact part of the message that most people want to skip. It is much easier to point fingers at the devil and blame the world for our pain. It feels incredibly safe to play the righteous victim of terrible circumstances. But you are certainly not like ordinary people. You are a chosen vessel built for massive impact, and that calling demands a level of self-awareness that terrifies the average mind. I will share something very confrontational in just a moment, but I am speaking to you with pure love and deep spiritual respect. This is not a harsh accusation against your character. It is the loving diagnosis that will permanently set you free from your cycle of delay. You must hear this truth with an open heart, because defensiveness will only build a thicker wall around your miracle. But before I reveal this hidden block, we need a sacred pause. We must let everything you just learned settle into your spirit. Let the profound reality of your massive authority anchor deeply into your bones. Breathe in the certainty that you are fiercely protected by heaven right now. This gentle pause is absolutely necessary, because your physical body needs time to integrate the massive energetic shift. Let the peace of that divine protection completely calm your anxious mind. You are entirely safe in this quiet moment. Nobody is coming to attack you, and no disaster is waiting around the corner. The heavy armor you have worn for years can finally be unbuckled today. You do not need those thick defensive walls in this sacred space, and you can let your guard down without fearing betrayal. Once your spirit is completely still, you will be ready for the final layer. The truth I am about to expose is the ultimate master key for your life. It will unlock the last door standing between you and your newly approved blessing. Do not run away from this uncomfortable truth when it is finally spoken. The truth might sting your pride briefly, but that tiny sting brings massive freedom immediately afterward. Lean in closely and listen carefully. The hidden obstacle blocking your breakthrough is not what your anxious mind originally conjured. It is something much closer to your own beautiful heart. And the very moment you finally recognize this hidden pattern, its dark power over you will completely evaporate, and your path will be perfectly clear. Here is the part no one wants to say out loud. And I say this with nothing but pure love for your journey. The thing that has been quietly blocking your breakthrough is not the enemy anymore. It is not the toxic people from your past. The hidden obstacle is that some quiet part of you is actually terrified of the very blessing you have been begging heaven to release. This is not an accusation against your character. It is simply the spiritual diagnosis that will set you completely free today. You have prayed for massive influence and deep abundance for years. But deep down in your subconscious mind, you are scared of what happens when you finally get it. You are terrified of becoming highly visible to a world that always misunderstood you. Think about how you have operated for most of your life. You have always been the quiet helper in the background. It feels incredibly safe to be the invisible supporter who fixes everyone else. But stepping into your massive destiny means stepping directly into the bright spotlight. And your wounded inner child remembers that being visible usually meant being heavily criticized. So you unknowingly hit the spiritual brakes every time you get close to success. You ask heaven for an ocean of abundance, but you only bring a tiny cup to the shore because you are afraid of drowning. You have been quietly dimming your own brilliant light just to keep the people around you comfortable. You shrink your massive spirit because your power feels dangerously heavy. The enemy did not need to build a wall in front of you. He just needed to convince you that your own beautiful wings were far too dangerous to use. You are holding on to the familiar pain of waiting because the unknown reality of having everything you want is intimidating. Healing completely means you can no longer use your brokenness as a safe place to hide from the world. Heaven has been delaying the physical delivery because it honors your internal boundaries. The universe will never force a massive blessing onto a vessel that secretly wants to push it away. Your fear creates a strong, energetic shield that bounces your miracles right back into the spiritual realm. The delay was just heaven patiently waiting for you to stop fearing your own greatness. It is completely okay that you felt this secret fear. You are a human being who has endured severe emotional trauma, and your brain was simply trying to protect you from more disappointment. Do not feel any shame about this hidden block today. Shame will only make the heavy chains tighter around your soul. Just look at the fear honestly and thank it for trying to keep you completely safe. But that outdated survival mechanism is officially expired right now. You do not need to hide from your own magnificent power anymore. The blessing that was just approved for you is completely safe to hold. It comes with divine instructions and heavenly protection, and it will not crush you or expose you to the cruel elements of the world. You are fully equipped to handle it. It is time to make a final decision. You must choose between the comfortable pain of staying small and the terrifying beauty of stepping into your absolute prime. You cannot carry your hidden fear of success into this new promised land. The heavy baggage of self-sabotage must be dropped at the border right now. You are finally ready to let go of the invisible brakes today. This is the exact moment everything changes for you. The diagnosis is complete, and the spiritual surgery was totally successful. You are now prepared to speak the words that will shatter this old fear forever. Coming up next is the crucial declaration you must make out loud. Prepare your heart to receive the final seal of your massive breakthrough in just a few short moments. And now we have reached the pivotal moment where everything permanently shifts. The heavy weight you carried for so long is finally lifting off your tired shoulders. You have faced the hidden fear and stripped it of all its dark power, and you are standing perfectly clean in the bright light of your own massive destiny. Prepare your spirit to receive exactly what heaven just released. This is your moment to claim the promise. Do not wait for tomorrow or wait until you feel completely ready. I want you to place your hand firmly over your own beating heart right now. Close your eyes and feel the life pumping through your veins. You must speak these next words out loud with absolute conviction, because your physical voice commands the spiritual atmosphere to obey. Say this with me right now. I completely release the painful need to be small. I break every single agreement I ever made with delay, and I refuse to let the fear of success sabotage my brilliant future anymore. I step out of the shadows and claim my rightful place in the light. My incredible sensitivity is a powerful weapon, and my deep heart is a divine gift. Keep your hand firmly on your chest and continue to declare this truth. My long season of painful isolation was never a punishment. It was the sacred preparation required to hold my massive new blessings safely. I forgive the people who walked away because they were simply clearing the room for my ultimate arrival. I am absolutely worthy of receiving total abundance today. Now speak this final part with all the strength you have left. I am fully ready to handle the heavy weight of my new calling. I open my spirit to receive the miracle that heaven just approved for my life. My profound breakthrough is not coming sometime in the distant future, because it is already here, and it is already moving directly toward me. I accept it completely right now. Take a very deep breath and let those powerful words settle. The spiritual atmosphere in your room just shifted dramatically. Heaven heard your spoken decree and immediately sealed the approval of your massive blessing. The heavy iron gates that blocked your path have swung completely open because you finally stepped up and used the divine authority you were given. You can feel the intense physical relief washing over your tired body. Let the warm tears flow if they need to fall right now. Those are not tears of deep sorrow or endless frustration anymore. They are the beautiful tears of total spiritual liberation, and they are washing away the very last bitter residues of your agonizing waiting season. You are finally completely free. The invisible chains have been permanently shattered today. The enemy has completely lost every single legal right to hold you back from your destiny. Your spoken declaration destroyed his old contracts and burned his fake evidence to ashes, and you just rewrote the entire trajectory of your future with your own powerful voice. This massive spiritual shift cannot be undone by anyone. You are the chosen vessel heaven trusted with this royal assignment. You carry the incredibly rare frequency of a true spiritual master. You do not need to walk around with your head hanging low in defeat anymore, so lift your chin up and look straight into your bright horizon. You are stepping into the exact reality you literally begged the universe to create for you. The massive storm has officially passed over your life. The dark clouds are breaking apart, and the bright sun is finally shining on your tired face again. You cross the invisible finish line of your hardest test. Your new reality is permanently anchored into the physical world, and you are standing firmly on the holy ground of your newly granted promise. The season of preparation is completely over. You are walking into a brand new landscape today. The intense, heavy pressure has officially lifted off your chest, and it has been replaced by a deep and unshakable peace. You do not have to fight the raging current anymore because the river is finally flowing in your exact direction. I want you to look around your life with fresh eyes tomorrow morning. You will start to notice tiny shifts in the atmosphere around you. The people who are meant to be in your new chapter will start to naturally gravitate toward your bright light. You will not have to force any connections or beg for anyone to stay. Everything will feel incredibly natural and completely aligned with your soul. This is what happens when you finally stop fighting your own massive calling. The universe rushes in to support the bold decisions you just made. You are no longer living in the painful space between two entirely different identities. You have fully crossed over into the new territory, and the profound peace you feel right now is the ultimate proof of your safe arrival. The old version is completely gone, and here is what this profound shift means for everything coming toward you now. The doors that were violently slammed in your face will be replaced by wide-open gates. You will not have to push your way into the right rooms anymore, because your name is already written on the exact chairs where you belong. You just have to simply walk in and sit down. Let this new reality settle deeply into your physical body over the next few days. You might feel completely exhausted as your nervous system finally relaxes after years of high alert. That deep physical fatigue is just your soul exhaling the heavy trauma it carried for so long. Give yourself permission to rest and heal while the massive miracle fully integrates. Do not let the enemy try to whisper his old lies into your ear tonight. When the familiar anxiety tries to creep back into your quiet mind, just remember the powerful declaration you just spoke out loud. You sealed your own breakthrough with absolute divine authority. The spiritual contract has been signed and nobody can ever tear it up. You are entirely safe inside this brand new reality. Please gently press the like button right now. It is a very simple action, but it tells the system to send this urgent lifeline to another chosen one who is suffering. There is someone else out there waking up at 3 in the morning with a heavy chest. They desperately need to hear that they are not going crazy today. You also need to share this directly with someone who has always been called too sensitive. Think about that one beautiful soul in your life. They constantly give too much of their energy and receive absolutely nothing in return. Send this profound revelation to them today so they can finally understand their own hidden spiritual power. because they are waiting for this exact confirmation to keep moving forward. Make sure you subscribe and turn on all the notifications before you leave. These specific revelations about who you really are constantly being suppressed by the loud noise of the world. The enemy wants to bury this truth completely. By staying connected, you ensure you never miss the next critical piece of your spiritual puzzle. We are walking through this beautiful transition together as one united family. Your long assignment in the dark wilderness is officially finished today. You have survived the blazing fire, and you are stepping directly into the pure light. Go to sleep tonight knowing that heaven is actively moving physical pieces into place for your massive new chapter. You are deeply loved, and you are fiercely protected. The agonizing wait is finally over, and your beautiful new life begins right now.